Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into the entire Second Battle of Tumbleton, all the way up until the death of Rhaenyra Targaryen. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, a quick reminder that anyone who becomes a join member at any level will get a thank you banner at the beginning of every video and a shout out at the end. Thanks, let's jump straight into it. During the Battle of Tumbleton, the market town of Tumbleton was betrayed by Sir Ulf White and Sir Hugh Hammer, who had the dragons Vermithor and Silverwing burn the town. The Greens then sacked the town and executed blacks who surrendered. Sir Robert Hightower was the most senior Hightower remaining in the Green Army, as his cousin, Lord Ormond Hightower, had been killed in the previous battle. Prince Daeron Targaryen, sickened by the sack of Tumbleton, ordered Hobart to put a stop to the victor's behavior, but Hobart failed to do so. Ulf and Hugh were reluctant to help Daeron advance towards King's Landing. Lord Unwin Peake wanted to wait until the Greens were reinforced by Lord Boros Baratheon, while Hobart Hightower decided to retreat to gather supplies from the Reach. The Greens' inaction caused their great host to slowly dissipate through desertion and disease. After hearing of unrest in King's Landing against the rule of Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen, younger nobles such as Sir John Roxton, Sir Roger Corn, and Lord Peake called for the advancing on the capital, but Hobart preached caution and two betrayers remained stubborn. When Hugh crowned himself king and had his men attack Roger, 13 loyalists known as the Caltropes plotted against the two baseborn dragon riders. Meanwhile, the baseborn dragon rider Sir Adam Velaryon, whom Rhaenyra had condemned after hearing of the two betrayers, was resolved to defend his honor by retaking Tumbleton from Ulf and Hugh. He fled from King's Landing atop Sea Smoke and allegedly sought counsel from the Green Men on the Isle of Faces. Adam set out to recruit a new army for the Rivermen by visiting every castle, great or small, and scraping together survivors of previous battles, along with old men and young boys. A brave and charming young man and glib of tongue, Adam succeeded in convincing many lords to contribute what aid they could. Due to a combination of being impressed by his dragon and being terrified of what Green victory in a war would mean for them after the horrific sack of Tumbleton. Among them were Benjicott Blackwood, the 12-year-old lord of Raventree Hall, whose father had died at the Battle of the Burning Mill, and who later fought in the fish feed. Sabetha Vyprin, widowed lady of the twins, whose husband, Lord Frey, had died fighting in the battle by the lakeshore, who was now also joined by her father and brothers from House Vyprin. Lord Stanton Piper and Lord Joseph Smallwood, who had survived defeat in the earlier battle at Acorn Hall. Lord Derek Derry, leading the survivors of Castle Derry after Vagar burned it, killing the original Lord Derry, and Lord Lionel Deddings. Hugo Vance, the new Lord of the Red Fork, came with 300 of his own men, plus Black Trombo's company of Myrish sellswords. Hugo and Trombo had earlier fought in the Butcher's Ball, destroying Sir Criston's trapped army. Most notably, House Tully finally joined the war, with its army full strength and fresh. Seasmoke's arrival at the fate of Tumbleton finally convinced the reluctant Elmo Tully to end their neutrality, against the wishes of his bedridden grandsire Lord Grover Tully. Altogether, Adam called together a new army of rivermen of nearly 4,000 strong. On the day which the Caltropes had decided to enact their coup against Ulf and Hugh, the Greens in Tumbleton were awakened in the night by the sound of battle. Though Adam's 4,000 rivermen were outnumbered, they had the advantage of surprise. Columns of knights attacked from the north and the west, while archers fired their arrows. Seasmoke's dragonfire burned the Greens' camps outside of Tumbleton, as well as buildings in the town which had survived the earlier attack. Ulf White slept through the battle with the Body Badger, an inn in Tumbleton. Hugh Hammer rushed to the stables so he could ride Vermithor, but he was slain by one of the Caltropes, Lord John Roxton. Prince Daeron the Daring died amongst his camp west of the town, although his method of death is disputed. The Blacks tried to kill the sleeping Silverwing and Vermithor in the fields south of Tumbleton, but failed to do so. The riderless Vermithor slew 20 of knights who attacked him, and took to the air and fought indiscriminately. Lord Stanton Piper and Lionel Deddings were burned by the dragon. Adam and Seasmoke had been battling Daeron's dragon Tessarion in a nimble fight. When Adam saw the raging Vermithor, he redirected Seasmoke to a larger dragon. Lord Benjicott Blackwood believed that Vermithor would have torn Seasmoke to pieces, but Tessarion suddenly joined the brawl, and all three dragons fought. Vermithor slew Seasmoke, but then collapsed and died shortly after. Tessarion failed to take flight 3 times, so Lord Blackwood had his best archer, Billy Burley, mercy kill the Blue Queen. The battle ended at dusk. The Blacks were victorious in the Second Battle of Tumbleton, but their victory was incomplete. Although the River Lords lost less than 100 men and slew more than 1,000 of Hobart Hightower's Green Army, the Blacks failed to retake Tumbleton. King Aegon's Green survivors retreated into Tumbleton and sealed the gates. The Blacks, lacking siege equipment, retreated during the night after the battle. 3 of their 4 dragons had died, with only Silverwing surviving. The Caltropes continued their plotting against Ulfwhite. Hobart and Ulf died from drinking poisoned wine. Lord Unwin Peake succeeded Hobart as commander, but the great host, which had marched from Oldtown, was racked with plundering deserters. Lord Peake led the remainder in a retreat from Tumbleton, ending the Green threat to King's Landing. Apart from the losses in dragons, the battle was a decisive victory for the Blacks, with under 100 men lost compared to over 1,000 Greens killed, despite their numerical superiority. Ultimately, the battle was also a strategic victory for the Blacks, given that the disintegrating of the Hightower army had to withdraw back to the south. Even so, while Adam's sacrifice had saved King's Landing from the Hightower army, the Blacks had lost control of King's Landing itself anyways. When, due to fear at the approach of the Hightowers, the city was plunged into chaotic riots. Lord Grover Tully passed away shortly after Second Tumbleton, allowing Sir Elmo Tully to briefly become the Lord of Riverrun. The mostly intact River Lord army of nearly 4,000 regrouped at Riverrun, where Elmo continued to gather more men, including the Mallisters and the Brackens, until within about 2 months of their combined forces increased to nearly 6,000 men, and they marched east to face the Baratheon host in the Battle of the King's Road outside of King's Landing. Rhaenyra Targaryen was refused entry at Rossby and was allowed to stay only one night at Stokeworth. Half her gold cloaks deserted on the road, and attackers killed several of her knights. At Duskendale they were admitted, but not allowed to stay long. Refusing to part from her son Aegon the Younger, and without ships, Rhaenyra sold her crown to buy passage on a Braavosi ship. She returned to Dragonstone, hoping to hatch a new dragon from the island's dragon eggs. Sir Alfred Broom and his garrison killed Rhaenyra's remaining men, and captured the Queen, her ladies, and Aegon the Younger. Once inside the gates, Rhaenyra faced Aegon II Targaryen and the wounded Sunfire. Aegon the Elder fed Rhaenyra to his dragon, while Aegon the Younger looked on. With the chance that Rhaenyra's loyalists would continue the fight in her son's name, Aegon the Younger became a hostage. It was the 22nd day of the 10th month of 130 AC. On the 9th day of December, Sunfire the Golden died on Dragonstone. After this, Aegon started planning his return to King's Landing. Though Rhaenyra had died, her cause lived on. Aegon II would sit the throne again, but this would only last another half a year. So what did you guys think of the Second Battle of Tumbleton and Rhaenyra Targaryen's death? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and a quick reminder that anyone who becomes a join member at any level will get a thank you banner at the beginning of every video and a shout out at the end. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.